Hey folks, welcome back to Sub2 Investor. My name is Hans, and in this episode, I will be on the phone with a live Sub2 seller prospect. I want to buy this person's house subject to, and I will be talking to them on this call, showing you how I respond to their objections, how I explain subject to them. And you're going to want to stay tuned until the end to see how I handle the hardest objections to selling subject to. So you don't want to miss out on this one. Stay tuned. Now, just for a little context on this call, I already had one preliminary call with this seller. This was an expired listing, low equity, inbound lead from a postcard that they received from me. I had an initial conversation to learn about the property. It is low equity. The seller wants about $40,000 to walk away from the property. However, he's not super motivated yet. He moved out of state, and the reality of 2 mortgage payments hasn't fully hit him yet, I suspect, but I do think he is becoming more and more motivated with the double mortgage payments that he has. And so he's thinking about going back on the market with a realtor. And I pitched him a sub-2 offer to take over the payments, and maybe I could get him $40K, maybe a little bit less. I'd have to kind of run some numbers and see. But where we left it on the first conversation was, hey, talk it over with your wife and get back to me and let me know what you think. So here we go. Here's the call. He called me back, and let's see how it goes.
Hello?
Yeah, hello. This is Hans.
Hi. Hi, Hans. This is. We spoke a couple weeks back.
Oh yeah, yeah. How's it going, man?
So it's going pretty good. But I wanted to let you know that I just spoke with my my loan company to check the contract to see if we could do an assumption of the loan on instead of as opposed to a sale. And they informed me that since I have a FHA loan, they wouldn't be able to do that kind of transfer for the purposes of what you were looking to do. So I just wanted to call you and let you know.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, and in fact, no, I appreciate it. Thank you for calling me. That's kind of you to inform me of that.
All right, I'm just going to pause it right there. So this was a seller. I had an initial phone conversation with them, and I presented subject to them. So they, I guess, went to the lender and asked if this is okay. Little did they know that this is not the offer that I presented. So they are saying, hey, we went to the lender. We can't do a formal loan assumption, so this isn't going to work to purchase it subject to. So clearly there's some misunderstanding. The seller also said that, hey, as opposed to a sale, so the seller clearly misunderstood the nature of the offer is what happened. He thinks that my offer was not to purchase his property. So I have a lot of clarifying that I need to do based on all of those comments that he just said right there.
And to be clear too, you know, when we do this kind of transaction, it's never a formal assumption because I'm an investor, and you're no lender. If it's a residential owner-occupied property, no lender is going to ever let an investor assume that. So, because the terms of the note are all conditioned on, you know, it being an owner-occupant, and they have to abide by all these laws and stuff. So, that was never on the table, and I didn't clarify that for you, obviously.
No worries.
So, the way we do these, it's basically a non-formal assumption. Is how you can look at it. We're not going through your lender. It's a sale. We always take title to the property. We leave the loan in place to make payments on the loan. And the way we typically do it, we get a third-party authorization and a limited power of attorney just with respect to the loan. That gives us control over the loan. If the loan transfers to a different note servicer, we can trace it down. We can request escrow analyses, things of that nature. And so
let me just pause here real quick. So he thought that what I was proposing on my initial offer was to assume his loan. What I did right there was, first of all, I talked very slowly so that he could understand and sort of track with everything that I was trying to communicate to him. I tried to be very slow because, you know, his tone was also kind of more on the slow side. I just want to make sure he understands the nature of my offer. So that was the first thing there. The second thing, I clarified that it was not a formal assumption, that you could think of this as a non-qualifying assumption of the loan, or at least of the debt on the loan. And then to really clarify what that means, I'm trying to spell out for him what all is entailed in the process. So yeah, this is not a formal process that we're doing, but we're going to get all these things: third-party authorization, limited power of attorney, for example, which is going to give us control over the loan and make it like an assumption of the loan so that he can just walk away. And then number 4, I emphasized, because he seemed to think that this wouldn't be a sale, that this would be a sale. And the last thing that I want a potential seller thinking is that they're going to be tied up in the actual ownership of this property throughout my duration of ownership. And that's just not true. I want to make it super clear to any potential subject to seller that they are done owning the property. The property will no longer be deeded in their name. I will own the property moving forward. And I just really want to communicate that this is not a lease, an option, or I'm not proposing to rent to own your property, because he might be getting offers like that and he might be putting me in that same category. So I'm very careful to distinguish myself from any sandwich lease option buyer who came by and offered that kind of offer to him.
It's a non-qualified assumption, but we get the paperwork essentially that we need to control the loan.
Okay.
And that's how it's done. So it's never an assumption, and no lender is ever going to let, like I said, an investor assume a loan. So that's why it's basically, these happen a lot. These are becoming a lot more frequent with rising interest rates, and so lenders know that it happens, but they just kind of turn a blind eye when it happens because they're happy that the mortgage is getting paid, and they're not going to make a fuss about it. So that's, you know, that's kind of what we'd be looking at. So I don't know if that still something that interests you or not.
So again, I'm leaving plenty of space in my speech for him to pause or to stop me and to ask me questions, so that we can make sure at least that if he's going to say no to this offer, that at least he understands what it is he's saying no to. And I also wanted to clarify that, look, I'm an investor, and there's no way. I've actually tried to assume loans before in the name of my LLC because sellers have insisted that we try it. It ended up being a waste of time. As soon as we got the loan assumption paperwork, and this was with VA loans, by the way, as soon as I got the paperwork, right there on the first page says that you must intend to occupy the residence as your primary residence, which I could not sign off on that because that would be telling a lie. So anyways, if a seller does want to lead you down that rabbit hole, just let them know, hey, this would be an entire waste of my time to go try and actually assume it, because it just isn't going to happen.
My only concern is with the bearer of responsibility in terms of how the responsibility falls if I'm not saying that you would not be responsible with the loan, but like, let's say that you decided the property wasn't worth your time anymore. There could be a it sounds like there could be a possibility of like the loan falling back onto me with ramifications.
All right, this is the classic sub-2 objection. How do I know you'll make my mortgage payments on time? And I don't claim to be the master of negotiating sub-2 deals at all, but let's see how I respond to that.
In that kind of scenario.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I can't lie to you and tell you that's not a possibility. obviously you need to understand too. I mean, you know.
All right. So number one, let's just kind of take note of what's happening here. I own up to the fact, and I always do own up to the fact if I'm asked this question, that yes, it's a possibility that I would default on the loan payments and that would have a negative consequence for you. I think that brutal honesty is the best policy in subject to, and if we want to have a robust creative finance industry 10 years from now, we want people doing this business who only do it truthfully and honestly. And it begins with our communication with the seller.
Just to be frank, like if I'm bringing money and bringing skin in the game, there is a very high unlikelihood that I'm just going to let that go, I'm going to basically be irresponsible with my funds and my money and my business and all that kind of thing.
Number one, be brutally honest. The best policy is honesty. That's number one. The second thing here that I'm saying is just the reality that, hey, I'm bringing money. I'm going to bring cash to closing to pay you for your equity. The chances are that of me defaulting and being irresponsible with my business are very low. And I believe that to be the case, but that's how I decided to answer that particular objection.
Which, you know, I tell people, especially if I'm bringing capital at closing and then investment to fix the property up. I mean, I might be bringing more down than you brought down to buy the property.
And that's a good one too, especially this is an FHA loan. So if you suspect that they put little money down, like on a VA loan or FHA loan, this is a great line. I mean, it's hard to argue with, right? If I am bringing more down than you did on the initial purchase of this property, then what do you think is going to happen? Am I going to make the loan payments or not?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so but that being said, would you mind drawing up some sort of maybe preliminary, contract that, we both of us don't have to sign it, but if you could just have it written down so I could have my lawyer look at it. That way, maybe we can understand, exactly what we're looking at. I will tell you though, we are planning on relisting with an agent if for the time being, because we do need to get it sold.
Sure.
If our agent can't get it sold for us, this is definitely something I'd love to have in my back pocket.
Okay, so first thing there, if a seller ever mentions like I need my attorney to look over the paperwork, no problem. I'll send you my paperwork, have your attorney look it over and advise you, because I know that subject to is not illegal. And what we do is disclose everything to the seller at closing that's happening with the transaction. So I am totally fine if some attorney wants to take a look at it and advise them one way or the other, but stay tuned because he brings the attorney thing back up and I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a second. The second thing to note here is that he's planning to relist because he wants to sell it ASAP. And I understand going to the market to list a property, if it's, presentable and in presentable shape, it's really the best way to get the most for your house, right? Unless you're selling to a creative person who can really pay above and beyond, which in this scenario, he does have some equity and what I can bring him cash at closing is pretty limited. So more power to him if he can sell this thing on the market. However, you can tell that he wants a backup plan because he is somewhat motivated. This seller has already moved out of state and isn't living in the property anymore. So if the market, going back on the market with a realtor, doesn't work out, he wants a plan B.
Exactly, yeah. And that's why I tell a lot of people with this nature of an offer, it is kind of a plan B. I mean, just to be frank about it, I mean, it's more ideal for you to just be free and clear of it. And I totally understand that. So I don't blame you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be angry if you, want to relist and just sell it or anything like that. But I'd be happy to, but the reality is that
Okay, so before I go to that next sentence there, I'm just giving him permission to list it on the market. More power to you. I totally understand that selling subject to is not the ideal scenario for you. And it's really not usually, because entrusting someone else with your loan payment really is a risk. I mean, it's an inherent liability. So I am trying to be reluctant and not a motivated buyer, and to just give the impression that, hey, I could take or leave this deal. I don't need to buy this deal, because the more desperate I look to get this deal under contract, the more I'm going to repel this individual from myself. But the more that I play coy and reluctant, actually, the more he'll be drawn to me and my offer.
People can't sell on the market, and so we end up buying a lot of houses from expired listings, and we follow up with these people who had listed on the listed their property in the market, and the market is brutal. The market tells the truth. I am never like that is the reality. So if you've done the market, okay, with a decent realtor, and there's no equity to sell, and you need to sell, this kind of offer will get you out from underneath the responsibility of those payments. Now, it's not perfect, and you know that. I know that.
Yeah.
There are some risks and liabilities, but I've done this over several dozen times. I've never missed a payment. I've got like I said, I've got over 30 loans with different mortgage companies, and they're all set up on auto pay. They always get paid, whether I get paid or not, because I'm not an irresponsible, idiotic tenant who doesn't pay their rent type person.
Yeah.
I know that type. But so, and I know you're not assuming bad faith or anything like that. But anyways, I'd be happy to just like put it in an email to you, and then have your attorney or whoever look it over just to see, because they might advise against it. They probably will if they're an attorney. They're just going to say, why would you do this?
I just want to do like what Chris Voss calls an accusation audit there. If he does want to put my paperwork or my proposal past the attorney, I'm just kind of prepping him. I'm preconditioning him. What attorney is going to look at a sub-2 deal and be like, yeah, this is a good idea? I mean, one who does subject to might actually say that, but most attorneys, they have no idea what this stuff is, and taking over loan payments, it's going to seem sketchy to some attorney who doesn't know anything about it. So listen to how I respond to this.
But then I would ask them, well, okay, Mr. Attorney or Mrs. Real Estate Agent, are you willing to take over my loan payments? If you advise against this, would you step in and pay my stupid PMI on my FHA loan? Because I guarantee you they're not going to want to do that. So, anyways,
that's a little trick there that I learned that... Not really a trick. I mean, it's just a reality. Who's going to step in to solve this problem for you, right? So if he has people whispering in his ear, don't do this, or if it's a realtor or an attorney, then just flip the script. All right, is your realtor going to make your payments for you then? Pretty powerful answer to that objection.
Let me put it to you in an email. Do I have your email address on file?
I don't know, but I can give it to you.
Okay. Let me just get you pulled up here real quick.
Sure.
Actually, no, go ahead and tell me what it is.
Yeah, it'll be...
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll have that over. Probably not today, but I'll have it on the list to do probably next week. So.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. The repairs that we're having done on the house aren't quite done yet. They were supposed to be done this week, but we had a little mishap, so we're just about maybe 3 or 4 days away from being picture ready. But but I'm heading over there today just to see a few things. So no rush.
Nice. Well, cool, man. I hope it goes well on back on the market. And like you said, Plan B. I'll get this over for you. And if that's if you have to reconsider that, then we'll be here. So.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yep. Sounds good. Good to chat with you.
Yep.
Okay.
Good chat.
Bye.
Yeah. Talk to you later. Bye.
Yep.
All right, so that's how I left the conversation, and you would be amazed at how many deals we get under contract where we actually have to follow up with these warm leads and motivated sellers. We're going to follow up maybe 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 times. We'll see. I'm going to put this individual in a automated text messaging workflow where I will be sending them a text message roughly once or twice a month just to see if there are any updates or any movement on the property. Chances are that he'll go back on the market. He won't get the offer that he needs. And when he sees my text message show up on his phone, then he'll reach back out to me and maybe take me up on that Plan B subject to offer. So we'll see what happens. All right, guys, if you like this video and if you want to see more content like this where I'm talking to sellers on the phone, please leave me a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And I have so much value-packed content coming your way. You need to hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet to make sure you don't miss out. Okay, until next time, stay creative. Peace.